What up my MMA homies? Last night, two BJJ world champions went down in flames. And as I watched the fights unfold, coupled with the sight of Usman walking in, dressed like this, I could only think of one thing, as he said those epic words.
He's pretending walking around here like he's Jesus or something. Well, I'm gonna put him in a coffin this time.
Fortunately, it was not a total wipeout for BJJ. Thankfully, 10th Planet Black Belt, Kelvin Gastelum, used his excellent striking, wrestling and cardio, to get a dominant win. Proving once again, that BJJ is the superior martial art in the cage, and gave grappling fans worldwide a reason to rejoice. Some of you might cringe, at the prospect of cheering on 10th Planet, as your grappling savior, but I present to you the alternative. That's life. You support who you have to support, to maintain your convictions and beliefs. But seriously, watching a gassed Rodolfo Vieira transform into a gassed Damian Maia, shooting for takedown after takedown, and getting stuffed, was a sight to behold. Even more traumatic, was watching Anthony Hernandez confidently give up top position, and drop for a guillotine to get the finish. It's hard to really say what was the cause of this shocking loss. Vieira is known in grappling circles as having a punishing top game. Especially his mount. Typically, once he punches his head down for an arm triangle choke, all he has to do is dismount, and the tap usually comes quickly. However, every time Rodolfo was about to link hands, aided by the cage, Hernandez would bridge hard, forcing Rodolfo to post his hand out, preventing him from linking hands. Vieira in his post-fight statement is still trying to figure out what led to his cardio giving out. To me though, the decision to give up top position, and go for the armbar, once several arm triangle attempts failed, was a critical turning point. Choosing the riskier armbar, rather than fighting to keep dominant top position, be it mount or half guard, suggests that Vieira somewhat underestimated Anthony's grappling. Once Anthony escaped the armbar attempt, Vieira looked completely drained. Vieira's inexperience might also have been exposed another way. Vieira shot many times, and was fighting hard for every takedown, trying to finish, rather than dropping back to guard, like how Damian Maia might do, to try rest and catch his breath. Those breaks on his back might have helped, but it's hard to say in the end. This one was a head-scratcher folks. Do let me know in the comments, what you think Vieira needs to work on more for his next fight, his cardio, or his striking. Watching Gilbert Burns though, was less upsetting. He was a huge underdog coming in, and the question was more, could he outstrike Usman, rather than could he outgrapple him? Turns out though, the real question was, who had the better fight IQ and discipline?
It was a mental battle. This was a mental battle.
But he's freaking disciplined, you know, that's why he's the champion.
I just had to stay composed, find my footing, start picking him off. And I only do this as fight progresses.
Gilbert Burns could not have had a better start to a fight. He got the fight he wanted, on the feet, and off the cage. Gilbert's game plan was to stick and move, and use his speed advantage to exploit openings.
But the game plan was just mix things up, you know, stay light on my feet, a lot of movement. I know I'm a quicker guy. Just keep working, then I believe my speed is different for that division. I believe I'm very quick.
This paid off early, and like in the Woodley fight, he managed to hurt Usman in the first 30 seconds of round 1, catching Usman as he was stepping in to throw. Gilbert's fight IQ, at this point starts to fail him, as he starts trying to finish Usman, rather than sit back and keep countering. You can see, immediately, he starts stepping in to throw, and gets caught by a jab. And the story of Usman's comeback begins.
I recompose better than anybody.
And for me, the opposite. I got overexcited, you know.
Gilbert's fight IQ, again immediately fails him, by minute 1 of round 1, when he sees Usman's stance switch, and steps in for a kick. His kick gets caught, and he spends almost 2 full minutes on his back, trying to bait Usman into his guard. Gilbert's game plan was to use his quickness to counter, but instead of keeping his wobbled opponent striking, he gave Usman precious time to recover. Note, Usman under pressure here, could have lost discipline, and started to shoot for desperate takedowns or clinches, giving Gilbert what he wanted.
The game plan was just to mix things up, you know, just to make sure he shoot, and then we do the jiu-jitsu because I know I could finish him multiple times.
Instead, Usman stuck to his own game plan to stick and move. Never wrestling.
All I had to do was stay sharp, follow the game plan, and just stick and move. Trevor said, you know what, you need to stay on the jab. You have a freaking good jab, and you need to stay on the jab.
Usman survives the round, and before round 2 starts, Trevor Wittman reminds Usman to use his jab.
He needs the hook.
You're a champion because you jab.
Keep him high.
It's because you jab, baby.
It's pretty much all downhill from here, and I don't want to go into blow-by-blow details of the strikes landed in this fight. It was basically a striking contest, between looping shots versus long jabs, with the jabber being able to stay just out of range, to make avoiding low kicks easy, but close enough to keep landing punches. With Gilbert unable to use his best weapons, low kicks and hooks, he got picked apart, and eventually got caught stepping in while throwing a low kick.
Once I kind of recomposed myself and started working it, getting his timing off and hitting them, my jabs feel like straight right hands to the face.
To be fair, Burns was in a catch-22 situation. He was getting beat to the punch, trading looping shots with straight jabs. But he also couldn't safely hold his ground, and slip those jabs to try counter. Usman could then have taken advantage of his planted feet to take him down. Even with inferior weapons, patience and relying on his quickness might have helped in this stick-and-move contest he was having with Usman, but Burns never got into that groove.
Because I was loading up so much, because if I keep moving my head like I was doing, if I was light on my feet, he doesn't land on me.
Another thing I want to talk about though, is the effect Trevor Wittman has had on Usman's striking. Some of you might be tempted to postulate that Usman has been magically baptized by striking Jesus, but changes between fights are typically more subtle, and in small increments. Rashad talks about the major change Trevor has brought to Usman's striking.
And you see the way Justin Gaethje was fighting at first. He was down to throw the 50-50 right in front of the guy. He hit me, I hit you. The harder shot lands. And now he knows how to hit those same powerful punches, but now he's at an angle. And when I look at Kamaru Usman and I look at his work with Trevor, there's a lot of angle work. There's a lot of footwork along the lines that allows him to get in position to still land a big shot. Whenever you get an angle, you start throwing some punches, the guy's here, and then you over here. Now he has to turn around and reset. At that point, you're in charge of the motion, and you can either go for a takedown or continue to punch him.
Keep him on the back end. Okay, when he looks like he's going to strike hard, short angles.
Indeed, the big change I see for Usman is the addition of a circling jab to his game. Previously, Usman just stood in front of you, relying on his reach to jab. However, with little angling movement, he was often still in line to get countered, after throwing his jab. In his fight with Colby, Usman's jab was countered several times, simply from staying on the center line after throwing his jab. With Burns, he now steps to the outside as he throws, making it hard to counter him, as he is offline from the opponent's power. His timing is also improved, and he caught Burns several times while Burns was feinting. His lead hand control is also better. Here he throws his southpaw jab, as Burns reaches for his lead hand. Kind to think of it, a powerful wrestler with a good jab, kind of reminds me of this guy, and I have coincidentally made a study of him, using his circling jab against another jabber. Check it out. One last thing, Usman left his old gym, because he felt he wasn't getting enough individual attention.
You need that special attention to where the coach can just sit with you and say, hey, this is what's working, this is what's not working, this is what we need to get better at, and where we should improve and where we should kind of slow down. And it's kind of tough to do that when you're on a full team where the coach has to worry about 30, 40 other guys on top of the business, top of the certain things that they have to worry about.
Gilbert Burns, on the other hand, seemed to have less specific attention on him for his fight, and more a collection of tips and tricks from friends and training partners.
I have an amazing support for everyone for Sin4 MMA. They got my back, giving me a lot of tips. Hey, watch out with these. Yeah, these ones are gonna work on him. Keep doing that, and I cannot be more grateful for my team. But
I wonder if it would have made a difference to the outcome if Burns had received specific coaching to address Usman's jab, which he clearly knew was coming. To stir even more shit, Usman and Rashad seem to be throwing some shade at the striking style of his old gym.
Henry Hooft, in a way that his mentality is for striking, You know, it's just really just ingraining in the guy to go forward. No matter what, you're going forward. You can be getting your ass kicked in practice, and he's like, go forward.
You know, well, at my old gym, you know, it's a lot of that Dutch kickboxing, and you know, which is it gets you tough, and it gets you tough, and it lets you see a lot of shots and lets you defend shots.
He goes on to suggest his jabbing was developed on his own.
But I always just get on the bag myself, and I wanted to work that southpaw. I wanted to work the jab, and I knew I had a good jab from the southpaw, and so I loved the switch. That's why you see me in my fights. I switch both stands.
Do you smell some trash talk here? Let me know if I am imagining this drama. Anyways, do let me know what you thought of the fight, and where both fighters should go next. In particular, who should Usman fight next? Let me know in my community poll, or in the comments. Till next time.
I mean, coming in, did you think you could get potentially a first-round knockout?
That was the mistake. I thought about it, and then I got caught. So, yeah, that was the mistake.
I think, you know, training with Trevor Wittman, I think that training with Trevor Wittman is going to be one of those things that, you know, is going to pay off big dividends